Hello there, I'm Moldy, and this might come as a surprise to some of you because I don't usually post videos here on Saturday. So if you're watching this within the first few hours, check me out YouTube and Twitch. We now stream on both platforms. But it's been quite some time since I last made an ETA custom, and this one's not even Ahsoka's. For Revenge of the Sith anniversary, 20 years already, which is absolutely crazy. And first off, what is this? I thought I was being so smart making these bricks early before the anniversaries. I think Revenge of the Sith come out in something like May. Or was that Empire Strikes Back? In case you missed it, I made a special brick for 45 years of Empire Strikes Back, and then Star Wars beat me to the punch for Revenge of the Sith, literally days before I had finished designing my own. And to be fair, my one did kind of look like this anyway. At least I don't have to rush for The Force Awakens, because I think even Star Wars have forgotten about that. Anyway, there's no catch with this MOC. This is an alternate build. Really isn't much of a modification, though Rebrickable would probably class it as, considering this is using the base structure from my minifigure scale MOC, which is an alternate build of the last playset we got. But I thought I'd take some of my own parts, add them to the already pretty good model, and just see how close I can get to it. My main two things I wanted to do with this model, which you can already see I kind of done half, was get rid of the big flaps on the wings, and also get rid of, or at least edit, the massive cockpit, which the size of this actually makes it better than the new pieces they've used on Ahsoka's ETA. So I'm going to have to look into the brand new Ahsoka model, and I'm sure there'll be a minifigure scale alternate version of it on Rebrickable in not too long. However, channel members, as you can see, we have Master Moldy's members monoliths, do get these instructions for absolutely no extra cost. I can't say they're free because the membership itself costs, but if you join at Brick tier, which is the highest tier, you get all of my instructions for no extra cost, and trust me, for February, you're going to want to be a member. This is going to be the very first of a ton of MOCs here in February. I've got a long list of MOCs that just need finishing up, so stay tuned and let's take a look at Anakin's ETA, because what makes this one so special? The big thing I wanted to change about the original minifigure scale model, which is very ironically named because they're actually the smallest parts of these ships, were these fins on the wings, which originally, just if you weren't aware, are these giant custom made parts, which when it comes to Lego custom making parts for ships, a lot of times they are unnecessary pieces. So the first thing I did before I got to the final brick built version was actually trying to 3D print my own. But whereas the Lego versions clip to a bar, I tried to build that into the panel, and I just shrunk them. I think these are 3/4 of the size of the official Lego versions, and it just wasn't looking as good as I wanted it to look. There's only so far 3D printed pieces can take you. I tried different connections for the bar elements as well, and it just wasn't looking up to the standard of some of my other models. You see, when we're looking at all of the other ships that I've built, we've got a ship like Kenobi's Delta here, which is the model all of you have seemed to like the most, be it the video or the instructions. But something you'll notice about this ship is there isn't any giant custom element that's specific to only the Delta, and sometimes, like with the cockpit of the ETA, we can't get around it. But for something like these fins, the original ones fit to a Lego scale. Yes, they're probably thinner than any other Lego bricks can get you, but you can brick build these with quite a few simple elements, and they're only 2 plates or even a plate and a tile thick, which isn't too much more than these elements here. It's like 3-4 times as much. In the grand scheme of things, the difference isn't that big. So to get around using any sort of custom elements or 3D printing my own, because I am aware that a load of you don't have that luxury, I've instead brick built them with only 4 elements. You can see we've sloped off the top. We've got the grey connection at the bottom because there is a little bit of grey on the bottom of these fins. And then on the interior, we've got a round 2x2 under tile thing, which matches really, really nice for the grey underside without having to use any stickers. There are only 3 stickers on this entire 4 stickers on this entire model. I'm going to have to think about that. I'm pretty sure there's only 4, 3 of which you can see from the top. We've got the Republic logo as seen in Revenge of the Sith alongside the Galactic Army of the Republic insignias both on the side of the ship, and the cockpit is thankfully printed. I wasn't able to get rid of the cockpit, and I don't think the cockpit should be something to get rid of, but more to make more use of the space we've got inside. You probably saw it in the title because this is the biggest selling point of this ship. R2-D2's torso and legs are hidden somewhere inside this vessel, and let's be honest, there's not really much space to put a torso and legs of an astromech droid in this ship. So the fact that LEGO increased the space of one of the wings in the original models was actually a really smart play. But the torso and legs for R2-D2 actually fit inside this massive cockpit piece. So we are now using this piece to our advantage, because on the back I have detailed it very similar to how it is at the front. Again, the instructions are up on Rebrickable and the members Discord. If you do want to build this yourself, you can actually find the parts on Rebrickable before you build it, just to make sure you've got all the pieces needed. But if you've bought either of the 2 recent Anakin's ETAs, then chances are you'll definitely have the pieces laying around. For the cockpit, we have switched up the controls a little bit, and this is the 4th sticker that I initially missed out on. But we've got some handles so that Anakin can steer the ship, and R2 is clipped down using a jumper towel on the back of the ship. And the best thing about this is because I have built up the seat, which does still fit Anakin. We'll get Anakin out and fit him in the cockpit in just a second. But when the cockpit is on, that seat covers most of, if not all of, R2's torso from the back. You can't really see it from the back. You can see the white outline just around the top, but the seat is covering all of the printing, so you're not able to see it when there's a minifigure in this cockpit, which I think is really, really cool. And it's a problem with the new Ahsoka ETA because the windscreen on that is like 3 studs reduced, and then they have some rounded bricks at the back. Whereas if they kept this windscreen, I've been saying for so many years that LEGO need to get rid of this, and the one time they do get rid of it, I suddenly want them to bring it back. LEGO cannot win when it comes to the wants of the LEGO Star Wars community. I think being able to position the droid in the cockpit with the pilot, well, everything but the head of the droid, is a really, really fun play feature, and that's why I'm doing another video on this ship. Not only does it look good on display, and it's got the play function of being able to fit a minifigure inside and the droid on the outside, you can also display this with a full astromech inside. Exactly the same way you could display the Delta with Kenobi's droid's body inside. It saves you having headless droids on your display, and though you could display the droid elsewhere when the ship is on your shelves, I think having the droid head, at least maybe even the minifigure on the inside of the ship, is just a really nice way to show off your LEGO Star Wars ships. Besides that, not much has been updated from the original model. It's built very differently to the original model, but if you've already built my previous minifigure scale ETA, I don't think there's too much more drawing you to build this one as well, unless you just want to have both in your collection. I like the fact that I've added some extra lightning bolts to the engines of the ship to make it look like this is in mid-flight, and I probably will be recoloring this to match Kenobi's ETA. Eventually, I will be building a minifigure scale Ahsoka ETA when I get my hands on it May 4th, unless there's any sales before then. Speaking of which, the ARC 170 is £5 off in a few places in the UK. Nothing amazing, there's definitely going to be better deals down the line, but if you have waited for those initial sales, now's the time to pick it up and keep an eye on Ahsoka's ETA, which I'm sure will likely follow close behind. Now it's time to fit Anakin in his ETA. It's so easy to remove the cockpit because it's connected with 2 jumper tiles, and as you can see, Anakin sits back, his hands are up against the controls for the cockpit without having to be clipped on, and he fills up the rest of the space, making R2's torso completely hidden in the back there. Don't forget to check out the instructions on Rebrickable, and I'll also leave links in the description to the previous version if you want to compare the differences between the two. And see the similarities to make up your mind on which one you would like to build. But it's got me thinking that Revenge of the Sith logo, clearly it's got Star Wars attention for 20 years. That is quite a big number. Like we were saying, 45 years of Empire Strikes Back, they'll probably do something like the 8080 driver helmet, but it's not as special as 10, 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years. I'm sure in 5 years' time, we'll get a load more Empire Strikes Back sets. But the UCS set coming out later this year is meant to be one around the prequel trilogy. Could we get not one, but two ETA Starfighters, Anakin and Kenobis, and they do a double up? That way, we could not only get some really detailed models, but LEGO could charge a fortune for two of the same ships, and I'm sure a load of us would be interested in that. Could we get something else from Revenge of the Sith? We've already got the Venator, the Acclimators from Attack of the Clones. What other ships could we get from Revenge of the Sith? And I know a load of you are already thinking about the giant turbo tanks, the ATTEs, the ATOPs, and all the other AT all-terrain vehicles that we see during those scenes on Order 66. And I'm really intrigued to see which one LEGO are going to pick, if any, or perhaps they're going to flip it on the side and we'll get a UCS Kylo Ren shuttle, which would be a big shock, especially for an anniversary such as Revenge of the Sith, arguably one of the most popular prequel trilogy movies, and one of the movies with the most content that can be built into LEGO thanks to those Order 66 scenes. Let me know what ships, what vehicles you'd like to see from Revenge of the Sith turn out to be this year's UCS, and who knows, perhaps we'll be coming back to your comment and having a good laugh about how you predicted it months soon. Leave your predictions in the comments, can't wait to read them, and may the bricks be with you always. Meow.